Kia ora, g'day, welcome back once again. This is episode 5 of the Royal Marines Behind Enemy Lines, a Mountain Leaders or Mountain and Arctic Warfare Cadre course. Brother to Dragons, companion to Owls. Overall, this will be part 9 of my reaction though. So let's jump back in.
Okay, gents, really, I've got you all in here. The only person who would be being briefed is Sergeant Matthews, as he is the raid commander. But what I'm going to do is give you all the scenario and the intelligence brief. The remainder of the course then can thin out, and I'll brief you in detail, Sergeant Matthews, on the actual mission you're about to undertake. Okay, the scenario, like all scenarios, is a little unrealistic. However, if you listen in, you'll get the general gist of what's happening. After your recent escape from the notorious Dostand interrogation centre on the mainland of Rangentia, it's been decided by the brigade commander that inside information gained by ML ranks on the centre makes the MNAW Cadre personnel the most logical choice to carry out a direct action task against the actual fortress. Intelligence reports indicate that vital information and propaganda material is being transmitted via some sophisticated aerials and radio equipment to their operations centre on the mainland, which is about 300 kilometres away.
The Cadre's next assignment is the infiltration and metaphorical destruction of a communications station somewhere in southern England. A mild deterrent is a moat 40 feet deep.
Also, here you've got a mass of air photographs. And on the air photographs, I just want to explain to you, within the actual fortress area, the target
is a radio mast to which they plan to attach a massive explosive charge. Surprisingly, perhaps, command of the raid is given not to an officer but a sergeant, George Matthews.
With it being part of the course, obviously there is pressure. You are under pressure for the whole of the course. Whatever you do, failure in this mission will be detrimental to me and to the rest of the guys on the course. So I obviously want it to succeed.
Prior to actually going any CPR.
This is cool. I wonder how, or if there was a reason as to why they chose him specifically ahead of the officers, or I assume other sergeants or corporals on the course. But yeah, Sergeant Matthews, I think they mentioned, he's the PC, Patrol Commander, person in charge for this direct action task. So pretty cool to hear. And I think I heard them say, or the captain who was giving the briefing, based on their successful escape and evasion from wherever they had been captured. So I think the last episode 8, when they hopped on the trucks, I'm pretty sure the commentator from memory mentioned that they couldn't go along and follow them with regard to that phase of the training, which I think is awesome. And pretty common. I don't know of any SAS units showing that side of things as well, the resistance to interrogation piece, which, you know, it would probably put people off. If the hazing of the Navy SEALs put some people off and caused an uproar of that woke mindset and mentality, I could only imagine what leaked video footage of a resistance to interrogation might do to those same types of people.
Mission. Our mission is to carry out a reconnaissance of Dostand Fort and the route to it, with a view to further operations.
I thought it was going to be to destroy the tower, but it doesn't sound like it. Reconnaissance operation, just collecting information for potential future tasks, which may be a rolling one, which may change and update whilst they're out in the field.
Execution. General outline. It will be an operation carried out in 6 phases.
Six phases. That's obviously they're taking notes, and he's having the pauses so that I guess they can take down whatever notes they need to. They likely won't be taking those out on task with them, but 6 phases is a lot. I recall most of the stuff in the briefings that we were getting was usually always 3 phases, possibly 4. But yeah, 6 phases is a lot. But I think that's just the nature of the time, and then I guess maybe as things progress, or maybe it's maybe they still run 6 phases, depending. It would usually be mission specific, I get it, but 6 phases is a lot from what I'm used to anyway, and from what we were briefed on as I was going through. Maybe all different now, so take what I say with a pinch of salt.
Phase 1, the move from here to raiding squadron. Phase 2, the move by rigid raiding craft to the beach. Phase 3.
As in everything they do in their dangerous trade, the emphasis is on meticulous planning.
I would say that any bit of information you can get from whatever source, reliable or otherwise, is vitally important to you when you consider the plan to carry out your mission. You can't even formulate a plan until you've gathered every little snippet you can. If the farmer across the road lets his dog out at 10 o'clock every night, we want to know about it. If he lets his wife out at 10 o'clock every night, we want to know about it. Any questions on the recce checklist? Weapons. Each man will carry an AR-15 and 4 mags.
The AR-15 is the Armalite, a weapon rarely issued to British forces. It is light and short, distinct virtues when climbing with it. Its chilling notoriety comes from its adoption by IRA terrorists. What attractions has it got for them?
Well, once you split it in half, you take the locking pin out, and you can take these out, and it splits in half. So you can imagine that from there to there is one piece, and then the butt is the second piece. And it fits very nicely underneath a pram, underneath a small child or something. Yeah. And also another reason is that now on a normal weapon like the SLR, when you break it in half, you would destroy the zeroing. But on a...
Wow, interesting. I never knew that with regards to the SLR.
On this weapon, once you break it in half...
I've also never used an SLR either.
Because the sight, the rear sight and the foresight are on the same bit of weapon. Because you're breaking it, you're not going to disrupt the zeroing. Now, it's very easy for terrorists to get hold of the weapon, just join it with that locking pin there. And that's your weapon ready to fire, and you haven't got to zero it again. It's zeroed from the last time.
Will it kill people as well?
Not as well, no. It's got a very high muzzle velocity, and it tends to go straight through people. And it's certainly not got the stopping power that the SLR's got. But it'll make your eyes water.
That's one way of putting it, eh? It'll make your eyes water. Cool. Yeah. Interesting about the SLR. Lose at 0 if you break it in half. Yeah, interesting.
In daylight, they check out the terrain they must pit themselves against in darkness on successive nights. First on reconnaissance, then in the attack. The cliffs are wet and treacherously crumbling. To lose a foothold here has predictable consequences, as Corporal Rory Dale discovered when he fell 80 feet to an unexpected reunion with his wife.
I was resigned to the fact that it was such a drop anyway, to me it wasn't. I was resigned to the fact that, you know, at the other end...
Hang on, was this Corporal Dale? I'm just going to go back. Was this the same guy, I think, from one of the earlier reactions when they asked? I think he had hurt his shoulder on the part where they had to hoist him up and then stretcher him out. And I think he may be the same guy that said he hadn't felt pain like that since when he was shot in the chest, I think. Hang on, let me just go back.
Treacherously crumbling. To lose a foothold here has predictable consequences, as Corporal Rory Dale discovered when he fell 80 feet to an unexpected reunion with his wife.
Corporal Dale, yep. So there has been a kind commenter on the channel who I think knows Corporal Dale, and I think some stuff happened to this gentleman, unfortunately, which may have led to some unfortunate circumstances with regards to whatever happened to him. I don't know all the details, so I'm not going to repeat what the person who I think does know him sent me. But yeah, bloody hell. Predictable consequences, 80-foot drop. Bugger that.
I was resigned to the fact that it was such a drop anyway, to me it wasn't. I I was resigned to the fact that, at the other end, I wasn't. I was going to be dead. I really thought I was. And when I hit the deck, to my horror, I was still conscious. So, and it was quite painful. I feel the blood filling my lung up. And I rolled onto that side so I could just fire on one lung. But I just thought, won't be long now, with the way it was hurt. And I thought, I'm either going to pass out or kiss the world goodbye. But unfortunately, I never lost consciousness at all, so I felt pain all the way back here.
Man, just the fact that he survived it, was still conscious, listening to him. The awareness could feel his lung filling up with blood fluid, and the awareness to tilt that bad lung down so he could try to still function and live, but just the survival instinct and the ability and skill and the resolve of this gentleman to go through that. And just listening to him, unfortunately, very matter of fact, unfortunately, he never lost consciousness. Far out, man. Well, he's still around. Hopefully, he's still around today, given what I'd said earlier with regards to some comments that have been put through.
Well, if it was up to me, I'd like him to come off the course, but he wants to stay on there, so I go along with what he thinks. I'm just glad that he's turned out to be lucky. I think for the way that he fell and for the height that he dropped, he's very lucky to be sat in the bed now.
The Marines are to be put ashore by the rigid raider squadron, whose coxswains are equally meticulous in charting their course to the yard. What distinguishes all these Special Forces units from the rest is that even in peacetime, their high-performance training involves perpetual risk.
To be quite honest, you must accept certain risks in the job we do, be they the nature of the job or in some cases a self-inflicted risk by whatever plan you decide upon. Unfortunately, casualties in an operation such as this are almost a certainty, and as such you have to accept the casualties and try and complete the mission.
Imagine giving that type of spiel or response or commentary to a group of people that preach and spout on about zero harm, that all accidents are preventable. The looks of shock and horror you'd see on most people's faces, particularly those that had been embedding that type of message. Going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I'll try and link it back. What I love about the military is just the brutal and harsh reality of the type of work that they do. Mountain leaders, conventional army, special forces, I don't care. There are significant risks in every part of the military. Army, Navy, Air Force, I don't care what people say. That is inherently risky. You could potentially be badly or permanently injured or worse, killed just in the training that is being conducted in a lot of cases, not all training, but in a lot of cases to do with those particular corps and what they need to prepare for. And to go around and away from that environment, but equally high risk, i.e. construction, mining, oil and gas, those types of things, deep sea diving, mixed gas diving, bloody hell. Like there's so many things that could go wrong for the nature of just the work, just in training and preparation courses, etc. That it blows my mind that there are people or organizations, companies out there that want to spout on that zero harm and all risks, all accidents are preventable. It just seems silly to me. But here I am listening to this guy speaking the truth about it's almost an inevitability. They're not trying to go out. They're not being reckless. They're not looking to try to injure themselves or the candidates that they have on the course. But there is a significant amount of risk in the training alone, let alone when they go into operation. And if they don't train as close to possible in terms of the way that they may be expected to fight, then you're not setting them up for success. You're setting them up to fail, to be a significantly watered down version of what they need to be out on task. That's my take anyway.
That night, as they returned for their full-scale reconnaissance, the element of playing soldiers has gone. This, by any standards, is a beastly climb. Corporal Craig has been designated to lead it, a man whose career, after earlier botch-ups, is right on the line.
Obviously, as raid commander, I wanted it to be a success, and in that respect, you're maybe willing the guy to do it when really the climbing of the cliff may not be feasible, which is where you then got to draw the line. Am I doing this for my sake to make the raid a success, or is it becoming too dangerous for the guys involved, i.e. the lead climber and the number 2 climber?
Man, it'd be good if we could see like the footage clearer, eh? But hey, it's pretty good for the time in which it was taken.
The main danger is the lack of reliable footholds. To paraphrase Corporal Dale, the man who fell off in daylight, it looks horrific.
I must admit it does from here. It's giving me a few kittens. However, don't forget, we're looking at a fairly blank bit of wall. The covings in itself is not too bad. The rock is friable, but it's only about grade V diff. That is the most we ask them to lead at night, unseen V diff. And that's what it is. But for a young ML2, it's a
V diff, what's that? 5 difficulty? Difficulty 5? I don't know. V diff. That's what they asked them to lead climb on in these circumstances. Pretty cool. It's interesting also just hearing, I think they said Corporal Craig, who's leading the climb, and I think the commentator said given the number of botch-ups that he's had, that's an interesting piece to me because of not in terms of which is harder, is UKSF selection or the mountain leaders, or an SAS selection versus a mountain leaders course. That's not where I'm going with it. It's interesting from the perspective of, it seems to me like on the mountain leaders course, you can stuff up or miss the mark or fail something, i.e. I think if it's the same guy I'm thinking of, he failed the sniping aspect or portion of the sniping course, but you still get to stay on the course. You still get to stay on this course and progress through, and maybe they do retests later. I have no idea. Maybe he's gotten an opportunity to retest and then pass the retest, etc. But if I overlay that on in terms of an SAS selection, I recall during my time anyway, and even courses before and then post mine on the cycle piece and even on the selection, but on the cycle in particular, that's where in our version in NZ and Australia you'd go through sort of courses like these and maybe a little bit after, not all the elements, but combat survival, shooting, sniping course, all that sort of stuff. You might be lucky enough to get on those communications, medical training, all that sort of stuff. But if you failed something during that piece, like you were gone, that was it. You may have possibly got a retest like during that portion of the course, and if you passed, okay, you get a pass, but then you'll still be under the microscope. But if you failed something, like that was it. Get returned to unit, and maybe you can go back, or maybe you're lucky enough to get a call up to go back the following year and pick up where you left off or start from the whole cycle again.
fairly horrific experience to get out there and to have to lead it. And he's going to be pretty sure of himself. He's done about 40 foot of climbing, and he's got his earth axes out now. And I think he might have even put his crampons on to help him get up the steep earth and up to the top. But he'll know he's done it once he gets there.
You're feeling confident nonetheless?
I'm always confident. Cut.
The rock was just falling apart. There was loads of it. I was digging away the earth, pulling tufts away and digging away the earth just to find handholds underneath on the rock. And
I was just going to say, I wonder if that, for the purposes of the documentary, maybe if they were shining a light on there and then looking at it under the lens, maybe they are. I don't know, but it looks like a big spotlight. Maybe it's from the boats. Maybe it's part of the safety aspect for the climb as well.
even then, they were just flaking away.
But the reconnaissance succeeds. They scaled the cliff, remained undetected as they checked out the fortress's defences, and by 1 a.m. are home for tea.
No, he's in his locker. And he's
Much of the credit goes to Corporal Craig, a man almost uncomfortable with praise.
What do you think of it? So you climbed it very well.
It was a difficult climb. The main problem was there's no protection.
Yeah, so it all dropped out, didn't it?
Yeah, well, the two
The
that
rock was just falling apart.
The original plan was I was going to climb the rock band, and Cottle Dix was going to climb through me and climb the steep earth. I was going to belay on, but there's nowhere to belay on because all it was just earth on top of the rock, and I couldn't get the earth hammers in very well. That's where all the sparks are coming from. I managed to get a small rock in, which I hammered in with the hammer, but that slips out as I climb past. And further on I got a seagull basher in, which I had to hammer in again, and that as well come out.
Yeah,
And that was-
we're having a few kittens.
Just a few.
However.
Once again, I'd said in the orders that it was going to be a reasonably, I wouldn't say off the cuff, but the route itself was difficult to plan because we didn't have air photographs and the map was very sketchy. So as I said, we're going to pick the route on the way.
At 2 a.m. they're still collating the information they brought back, right down to the nocturnal comportment of the local cows.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. They're not very skitterish. We actually went through a field of bovine and they didn't bolt for the fence. Yes, cows. Very valid point. Right, cows, docile. Right, here we go. Get down to the business. Conclusions and recommendations on the mission. The mission, what do you think the mission itself? Feasible, I would say. Very feasible.
Most don't go to bed at all. Fueled by adrenaline, they work on their scale model to assess the more vulnerable points of their target, which just happens to be a genuine link in the NATO communications chain.
Situation. Enemy forces. Once again, there's no change in the enemy forces situation. We had no contact with the enemy last night on the reconnaissance. However, there was a Land Rover patrol out, thought to be 2 men within the vehicle. So they are patrolling in Land Rovers, that's confirmed. No guards were seen patrolling the ramparts. Has anyone any problems on the situation enemy forces paragraph?
An innocent scrap of polystyrene, a small trick of the trade. They left it here beneath the outer ramparts of the moat during their reconnaissance. It marks what they judge to be the safest line of approach.
My boat will lay off in the Oggin. It'll just lay off and allow this boat, if you could do the honours, Russ, to come into the cove. That's the beach party's boat. Put, into the cove. Okay, there should be a beach tonight because of the timings, putting back the timings, or even if it's just a small one, there will be a beach.
At last, the real test. The raiding party comprises 13 Marines, and who better to lead them up the initial cliff face again than the virtually reincarnated Corporal Craig. So, for the second
He's a bit of a Spider-Man, it seems, Corporal Craig.
time in under 24 hours, Craig edges his way upwards in darkness. These pictures are caught by image intensifier.
A lot of the time he was out of my view, and all I could hear was the grunting and groaning, if you like. He's the sort of guy who would try, and the first you'd know that he had failed to climb the cliff would be when he landed in your lap.
Sounds like the sort of guy you want in your team, eh? To me, anyway. Just hearing that from his colleague, that's high praise, in my opinion, anyway, to have for your teammate. somebody that would just try and try and try. And the only way you'd know if he failed was if he landed in your lap. Massive credit to him. That is some work, man, to be putting in and chipping away and getting through that, and then up and down it again, second time in less than 24 hours. At night time as well. Whatever lights they're using to try to get footage aside, I don't think it's providing really any sort of advantage for him. I don't think it is anyway.
Their next problem, since the defenders also have image intensifiers, is in covering open ground. It is here that they adapt their camouflage training skillfully, using a dark background of undergrowth as a blind. Unlike war, in which surprise is the most potent of weapons, their biggest disadvantage is the defenders know they're coming. All they don't know is the precise hour or from which direction.
I'd like to think that possibly the enemy party, given that they know it's the mountain or students on a mountain leaders course coming, that they'd probably be assuming a pretty dodgy route, or maybe there's a few in and around that area where they suspect that they might be coming. But that's having an enemy party makes it just that much more exciting, in my opinion. Not only for the candidates on the course, but also as an enemy party. A lot of people that I know that have done enemy party for different units, particularly for an SAS unit and been enemy party, they've all had pretty good things to say. They've all enjoyed it, the process, and they've all usually been just absolutely surprised by what happened and how quickly things happened.
After the cliff face, the moat is child's play.
A lot of time is spent prior to giving your orders on contingency plans for all eventualities. Everything to the most minute detail must be covered. If everything goes fine, then great, all you've done is wasted a few hours and some paper. If everything doesn't go to plan, then at least everyone is sure in their own mind what is going to happen should something go wrong.
The two wandering sentries, I think they've spotted a light somewhere around close to the mast. So what we intend to do is to stand the guard to, send one of the vehicles through on a normal patrol sweep to have a closer look at it, and possibly send two of the sentries around to take a more detailed search of the area of the mast. If we strike something, we might get a bit of action. If they don't initiate it, we will.
You've got to think from an enemy's point of view what could be the most affected. And rather than do what the enemy suspect you of doing, you do something totally different.
Have they done something different? Have they come and gone? Not only have they outwitted the defenders, their own instructors, they've also made monkeys out of a BBC camera team. We waited 4 hours to film them actually planting this dummy charge, and saw nothing but stars.
It's 4 in the morning.
That's awesome.
And here we are, the charge is on not one but 2 of the masts. Tell me first of all, how many people have you had out patrolling tonight?
Well, we've got a total of 12 on the ground, including the drivers who have been doing the mobile patrols. Sentries working around at half-hour intervals, 2 at a time, and taking quite a good look at the area. So, as you can see with the charges being laid, the raiding force, the TWO's course. They're doing very well indeed. We don't know how long they've been here. By chance the sentries have found the charges, and we have seen neither hide nor hair of them. They could have been gone for hours. These assimilated charges will obviously be on a timing device, and for all we know, they could be back in their base camp having breakfast, and these have been blown. And the first thing we would have known was the explosions. They've done very well indeed.
I'm just putting my feet on this.
It's interesting. I wonder if the enemy party were briefed that the course or the candidates would be looking to target the antenna system with explosives to take it out. I wonder if they were briefed on that, because that may have changed how the enemy might have played or positioned or conducted checks and searches. I mean, if you get a threat against something specific, you would typically want to make sure that you've got eyes on and coverage on that thing as much as possible, if not 24/7. So I don't know what the brief was given to the enemy party, but I assume they would know that they're going to be coming in potentially a threat against the comms tower.
They've had to cross 40 yards of that and they didn't make a sound.
Not that we found out. But what they could have done, they can use a lot of other noise. Aircraft flying over, the Land Rover actually moving. Probably the best time for them to come and put the charge was actually when the Land Rover's passed. A lot of gravel noise from the wheels. They just scoot out behind it. Once it's gone past, put them on then and bug out again. Plus they may have lain up for a while watching the sentry routine, which is the normal thing again you would try and do.
So, good effort, Bill.
Excellent effort. Done very well indeed.
Success.
There was no question of them recreating their moment of triumph for television. Like the magic circle, the Mountain and Arctic Warfare Cadre are reticent about revealing their tricks. And anyway, they weren't totally satisfied.
Well, I wouldn't say a total success. It didn't work out quite as we planned. As he talked to Andy, he had epics with the grapnel idea, which wasn't his fault. It wasn't. The idea was sound. It was just a trick that wasn't sound. But all in all, the guys worked bloody hard, and there it is. We did a good recce, got all the relevant information. The guys, you don't need to motivate guys like this. They're tremendous workers. And we've just seen the work they put in on things like the model. I mean, you're not going to get that anywhere else, except a bunch of guys like this. And it all paid off. Normally, it just wouldn't happen this quickly. You wouldn't do a recce the night before and then hastily crawl out your bed at 7 o'clock in the morning, having had 3 hours sleep, and write a new set of orders for a complete night raid. But if you can do it under stress, when you're tired and when you've just had a hard spell of graft, then you can do it anytime, really. And that's the idea of the training. It's supposed to be hard.
There's a lot of pressure on you, because you know if I couldn't have got up there, then the whole operation wouldn't have been knackered, or it has certainly been slowed down for a while. Say I'd fell off, or I'd just refused to go. This morning I was having second thoughts about whether I was going to do the climb tonight. I said to Andy this morning, I says, if I get to the rock face tonight, and I says it sank me out, because it was quite difficult last night, I said if it sank me out, you're going to have to climb. And he said fair enough, which meant we'd have had to change equipment round, and he'd have had to lead it. But as it turned out, when we got to the rock face, I felt all right.
Wow. Love this guy's honesty, man, and talking about how he was feeling and the forethought and prep prior to, and having a chat with his teammate. And awesome. Massive credit to his teammate just backing him up, saying, yep, no worries. Must be a daunting thing. I've never done anything like that. No lead climbing. Haven't done a course remotely similar to that in any way, shape or form. So it's cool to see and hear these guys talk about their experience so openly, and their concerns, and or potentially maybe he was going to get psyched out, but he didn't. Wicked.
So I went and did it again.
I'm trying to make my mind up whether he's just a damn good climber or whether he's on drugs.
Where is he?
He's bombed out. I tell you, the man knows no fear. And to free it all the way, no protection or anything. I mean, one slip and that's it. Bring him home in a bloody plastic bag.
Wow, free climbing the whole way under those conditions. Massive respect, man, to is it Corporal Craig? Good on him.
He's incredible.
Well, I'm not on drugs, and I'm not totally fearless. Because when I went into that, I was, for choice of a better word, I was shitting myself after last night. I'm only human.
Go straight across the track. It is.
Sorry to stop it again. Just love his attitude and the comments that he shared, but clearly his ability, and that's what I've observed with people within that SF space as well, just in general. They'll all be scared. We're all scared of stuff. We've all been scared of stuff. It's just how you not bottle it up, but how you harness that. It might be a word to use, but how you harness that, how you embrace that, how you utilize it to keep punching on and keep moving forward. It's I don't have the words to be able to describe it, and I don't know if Corporal Craig has the words to describe it, but his actions speak for themselves. Whatever it was that he was able to do, he was able to harness that, grip himself up, and crack on with the work. And that's impressive.
When all's said and done, a very small part in a very large, condensed course. And there isn't the time for pats on the back and self-congratulations, no matter how well it went. Tomorrow morning, one of the other guys will be in charge, and I'll be the man in the ranks trying to support him.
Four days later, and after 5 months of preparatory training, the Arctic Marines get their first glimpse of snow in central Norway. The temperature, minus 14 degrees centigrade.
Use your poles. Poles.
This amusing little diversion is to teach a man how to survive if he falls through the ice. For obvious reasons, it's the first thing they learn in their new environment.
Keep Bergen out. Bergen out.
Bergen, Jim. Bergen, Jim.
That's it, do it. It's alright, well done. Keep going. Go on, Jim. Left hand, Jim. Come on, Jim,
I think I heard them saying or wanting him to get his Bergen out first, to get his pack out first, but yeah, I'm not in that, so the initial thought, I think probably for anyone, is get myself out of here first and then grab my pack after.
Jim, try to get your Bergen out. It's pulling me back in. Get your Bergen out.
That's probably why we're asking or saying to him at the start. I don't know, maybe, get your Bergen out, get your pack out first, and then use your poles, get yourself up, and then start crawling your way out of that situation.
Now get your other ski pole. Now use both.
The dash to get dry is vital. By Arctic standards, 14 below is a balmy spring day, but a man soaked to the skin wouldn't survive for long. The locals don't risk it.
Leg kicks in his race. And out, together. And out, it's cold, Together. You gotta be careful you don't do this too long. Put some up in place. The backside's getting cold. Just drop him quickly.
Hey, he's got an inbuilt thermal on. I think that's the instructor.
And bend. And stretch. And bend. And stretch. And bend. And stretch. Stops on. That gives everyone now then. If you take it on a fitting. Oh, it's not that bad, the old snow. Don't worry about it. It starts getting a bit of confidence. You can do this with your companies. 10 seconds, get your kit on, go.
If it all suggests a return to the cold bath ethic of the English public school, the illusion is shattered by the cheerful depravity of their marching songs. Delicate ladies may wish to close their ears.
George.
Would have been nice if I could have heard it. I don't think anybody needed to cover their ears. I was trying to open them up to hear. I couldn't hear anything.
I picked her up, I picked her up, I laid her down, I laid her down, a lump on her, a lump on her, jumping down, jumping down, I picked her up, I picked her up, I laid her down, I laid her down, a lump on kicking, jumping down, put my hand, pardon me, she said Marie, it is me, put my hand, pardon me, she said Marie, you're teasing me, I put my head, between the thighs, she said Marie, you way too high, I put my head, between the thighs, she said Marie, you're way too high.
I think I heard part of it. I put my head between her thighs, I think is one part that I heard. I couldn't make out the rest of what they're saying, but the imagination can start to go from there.
Come back down, it's anything about coming back down. I just said to the top of the slope, go.
Swallow dive.
Put my loyalty to you, off top. Off top, quickly.
Go crackers on.
Crackers on. Oh. Was that more touch, was it?
Oh, go crackers on.
Oh. Sounded such.
We're -14, so get your take on, alright.
We've got a nice straight line to the top.
Patriotic undies, those ones.
We've got a nice straight line to the top. I want you to repeat after me. What we are about to receive. We are truly grateful. Before we roll down the slope.
What up? Yeah! What up?
Get in! Get in!
As viewers of earlier programmes may recall, the Cadre on occasions are no great respecters of rank. Not for the first time, Sergeant Mac McLean gets the full treatment.
This is awesome. The way that the instructors allow themselves and give the students opportunities to rush at, target, grab. Looks like they've probably stripped him down and then they're going to chuck him in the snow. Just like they did in some of the first reactions that I was watching. They got thrown in the water. It's pretty awesome, man. All right.
Thank you, boys.
Look like they stripped him down completely.
Right, quickly get yourself inside. Fall in 9 o'clock down the bottom.
The camaraderie that builds, and no doubt has built with these guys between the candidates, the students, and the instructors, man, it'd be second to none. That's awesome.
So, the Icemen have finally arrived. Next week, more winter sports of a baroque nature, and back to square one for Corporal Craig.
Wicked. enjoyed that. I thought, because it was 29 minutes, even though it's gone 45 minutes now, I thought I might as well try and get episode 5 done in one whack. And then I've got 2 more episodes to do, episode 6 and episode 7. So I'll do those over the coming days. But appreciate your time, mate, if you made it this far. Thank you for the kind comments and the support. Yeah, really appreciate it. And as always, man, the message is the same. Anybody going through any dark times, challenges, difficulties, just encourage you to keep turning up, keep staying in the fight, put one foot in front of the other, take one day at a time. Know and trust that things can do and will get better if you want them to. Just have to, sometimes we just have to persevere and suffer and go through it and be patient and try to stay as positive as we can. And I know that if you and I, and if we can do that, things will get better. The sun will shine again. There is a light at the end of that tunnel. So stick at it. As always, go always a little further. Remember, who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, there's a big mana wave coming from me to you, filled with my aroha, respect, appreciation and gratitude for you all.